A man frantically starts stabbing someone to defend himself, but in a blink, he finds that he has stabbed an innocent man in the hospital bed. Let's find out what's wrong with this guy. Simon wakes up in a hospital bed and is greeted by Dr. Newman. He is informed that he was hospitalized after being found collapsed in front of a property he owns. They found complications in his stomach and had to perform surgery, after which he died for 2 minutes before being revived back to life. The doctor starts interviewing him to make sure there weren't any complications after the surgery. Simon can remember most of the details about himself, but when he is asked about the date, he starts having trouble remembering it. Simon thinks that it's 2000, but the doctor ensures that it's 2002. Dr. Newman realizes that Simon has lost the memory of the last 2 years and concludes him to be suffering from amnesia. He mentions that his wife Anna is waiting outside, but Simon doesn't even know he has a wife. Later, Simon dreams about getting rushed to the hospital after getting in a car accident. He frantically wakes up to find Dr. Newman again, and they go on a stroll around the hospital. The doctor assures him that his memories will recover with time and suggests he meets his wife that could help him recall things faster. Simon agrees, and the doctor leaves to bring her in. Alone in the room, Simon stares into the mirror when a woman appears behind him. She lovingly hugs him, saying that she missed him and was worried about him. Simon doesn't remember her and explains his situation. She gets hurt after finding out and says that she has nothing left now before leaving. Simon runs to chase her while calling her Anna, but she is nowhere to be seen. He asks the doctor and the staff to find his wife when another woman, the real Anna, gets there and hugs the confused Simon. Later, they discuss the incidents leading up to his hospitalization and try to piece together his memory. Anna says that he came to this location for some reason, and Simon thinks he must be visiting his elder brother, Peter, who lives here. But Anna reveals that Peter died a while ago, even before she met him. Hearing this, Simon starts panicking in distress. He then has a flashback from the last night he remembers. He says that it was raining while there was a flash of light rushing towards him. Anna realizes that he is talking about the car accident in 2000 when he was rushed into the same hospital. After the session, Anna tells him about his brother's death and says that Simon never talked about him much. Anna also tells him that he visited the province 2 days ago to sell his parents' house where Peter previously resided. He tried to renovate the house for the sale. Dr. Newman interrupts them, saying that Simon had a sign of poisoning in his body that could be the result of fumes from the cleaning solutions he used to clear the house. Just then, Simon has a vision of a staircase with shattered glasses. The doctor suggests Simon get an MRI test before leaving. After he leaves, Simon tries to approach Anna, but she slaps him across the face, assuming that he is faking everything. Simon insists that he is not lying, and Anna mentions a woman, asking if he's doing it for her. She reveals that he is not a good person as he killed his brother. Just then, they get interrupted by a nurse, and Anna leaves. The nurse, Travis, brings him to a scanning room where he tells Simon that the staff speculates him to be a victim of attempted murder, but Simon denies this rumor, saying that it was just the fumes. Travis says he is just joking and leaves Simon after strapping him to the MRI machine. Soon, the machine operator leaves and Simon starts to feel uneasy. A stranger suddenly enters the room and sedates him. Simon now wakes up in the same hospital, but a different shared room, with one of the patients named Travis, and starts to freak out. Another doctor, Truman, then arrives and tries to calm Simon down, asking him to take rest as he has been in a car accident. Simon tries to explain what happened to him in the scanning room while mentioning his wife and Dr. Newman, but the doctor denies having any Dr. Newman on their staff. Simon is not able to make sense of what's happening and starts running around the hospital. I would too. He then asks Dr. Truman what year it is and gets shocked to know that it's the same date but in the year 2000. He asks about his wife and is informed that he is classified as single in his records. Simon explains that he has come from the future, but the doctor thinks the dude has lost his mind due to the accident and is having delusions. Back in the shared room, a training nurse gets in and Simon recognizes her as Anna. He calls out to her and she notices him but doesn't recognize him. He starts causing a scene and gets sedated again. He soon wakes up in the same scanning room feeling dizzy where the stranger is ready to sedate him. He calls out for help, and Dr. Newman arrives with Nurse Clayton, who Simon noticed in the year 2000. Are you still with me? Simon screams that there is someone in the room. The doctor assures him that there is no one there, assuming it to be a side effect of the meds he has been given. They both leave him alone, but hearing his screams, the nurse comes back again and Simon manages to make her free him. He runs off to find the doctor, saying that someone is trying to kill him. Newman calms him down and shows him the security tape of the MRI room, where there is no intruder, proving the stranger to be his delusion. Simon still tries to explain how he traveled time, but Newman and Travis say that it must be his memory from the past, playing tricks. Simon says that he remembers meeting Dr. Truman, Nurse Clayton, and his fellow patient Travis in the past, and hearing this, Travis states that a patient of the same name has been in the hospital for the past 2 years. Simon runs off to the floor Travis mentioned and finds Travis on life support. He asks him if he remembers seeing Simon in 2002, and to his relief, Travis recognizes Simon as a freak who made a scene in 2002. The doctor promises Simon to figure this out with him and sends Simon to get some sleep. Simon enters the elevator where the woman from before arrives, and Simon apologizes for not remembering her. She kisses him and introduces herself as Claire. She explains that they have an affair and he doesn't love Anna. Simon doesn't know what to believe, and Claire leads him out of the elevator where he gets another flashback, where he confessed his love for Claire while showing her around a house. They have some fun while Peter stands there watching in shock. At present, Simon says that he remembers loving her and they embrace. Claire says that they might be paying for what happened before and leaves. Simon again follows her outside but finds himself in an empty corridor in the year 2000. Later, Dr. Truman gives him the news of his brother's passing and says that he did everything he could by donating his blood to Peter. It is revealed that Peter was with him when Simon got into the accident, which confuses Simon, who thought he had the accident after his brother's demise. He again has a flashback of standing at the edge of a cliff. Back in the room, Travis expresses his concern about having surgery the next day, but Simon assures him that he is going to live as he has seen him in the future. Dr. Truman then arrives to inform Simon that Peter's fiancée has arrived, and he goes to meet her in the lounge where he finds Anna. First, he expresses disbelief at her being his brother's fiancée, but Anna says that she is just there to have some coffee. She tries to talk to him, but gets interrupted by her supervisor. Claire soon arrives and Simon rushes to her, thinking she has come for him, but finds out that she was engaged to Peter. Now I'm really confused. Simon gets angry at both of their actions, but Claire is too saddened to discuss this and leaves. Anna then enters the room and reveals that she has Peter's testimony before his death and plays a recording where Peter reveals that Simon did this to him. Simon gets angry at this, not believing he could kill his brother, and after watching Anna act all crazy, he realizes that she is going to blackmail him into marrying her for the money. Simon then decides to find out what happened and somehow gets to the house where he last met his brother. He watches as the memory plays out in front of him, where he was arguing with his brother and they started to fight on the balcony, for some reason, when Simon pushed Peter off and he fell, shattering the glass roof. Simon watches his past self dragging the body into his car before driving off. Just then, the same stranger gets there trying to stab him, but Simon overpowers and frantically starts stabbing him over and over again. His consciousness takes him back to the room where he is stabbing Travis. A nurse arrives and after finding the body, runs off in horror. Simon realizes that he has killed his fellow patient and breaks down. He then starts running inside the hospital where he is followed by the security and soon runs into Travis in 2002. He rushes to find Travis, who first appears to be fine, but soon starts to convulse in pain. The nurse tries to save him but fails, and Simon starts hyperventilating. He again gets a flashback of the cliff where he went to drive off the car after strapping his brother inside, but stops after noticing another car arriving there. He then decides to drive his brother to the hospital, where on the road they get into an accident. At present, Simon meets Anna, who, after realizing that he has remembered her, reminds him about the rules and says that he should come back home soon. Simon says that it's over and that he would change everything. He goes back to 2000 just by staring at the puzzle. In Peter's residency, he breaks things with Claire, saying that he can't do this to his brother. Peter still overhears this and rushes off, followed by Claire. He tells her to get out, and Simon rushes to talk to his brother. It soon turns into an argument where the same scenarios play out again, and while trying to prevent Peter from getting into the balcony, he mistakenly pushes him off. He then decides to rush him to the hospital, but on the way, they still get into an accident, this time with Claire's car. Simon blacks out while the paramedics rush him to the hospital. Back in the present, he goes to his brother's place and is glad to see him alive. He finds out that there is no Anna in his life. However, Peter informs him that Claire passed away in the accident. Simon doesn't want to accept this reality and wants to turn this around again. He tries to go back in time as the memories flood in. The film ends as he wakes up in the hospital the same way he did at the beginning of the film and is greeted by Dr. Newman. So what do you think? Did you manage to follow all of that? Let us know in the comments below.